Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another series. Thanks for joining me today. As hopefully you know who I am. I'm Richard Gordon Kelly, and I'm excited to delve into a topic that, despite its profound impact, it's really often overlooked, and that's leadership loneliness. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, leadership loneliness is about, what can I say? Leadership can be an isolating journey, even with a team and numerous responsibilities. Today, I'd like to explore this issue through the approach that I've come to understand deeply. And we'll look at how our perceptions shape our experience of loneliness and examine the root causes and effects. I hope to share some practical steps to foster a more connected and supportive leadership environment for you all. So, title I'm going to share now is called Understanding Leadership Loneliness Through the Inside Out Approach. And it hopefully reveals to you how our internal world shapes our experience. So, I'd like to share the first part, which is called, for me, it's called the illusion of control. Now, from my experience, one of the key insights is that a lot of our stress and sense of isolation comes from the illusion of control. Now, as leaders in business, or as we are all leaders, we often feel compelled to manage every aspect of our roles perfectly. Now, that doesn't mean it could be a leader as a team manager, it could be a director, it could be a CEO, it could also be the secretary, it could be anyone where we know we have to, you know, be perfect. This belief in needing to control everything can create a profound sense of what I believe separation and loneliness. When we recognize that it's not necessary to control every detail, that kind of eases some of the isolation that comes from this I would say, imposed pressure. So, how does that relate to the role of thought? Well, in my view, and I'm calling this the inside out approach. So, inside is going from within me, and outside is what it's experiencing from outside in the world. What that shows for me is that loneliness often arises from our own thinking rather than external factors. Now, our thoughts shape how we experience reality. If we feel isolated, it's frequently due to the internal stories that you and I create, and not necessarily the external conditions. By understanding our thoughts are only temporary and fluid, i.e., they can move straight away, just like that, we can begin to shift our experience and kind of, I feel, lessen the intensity of our loneliness. And that's what I've experienced for many years. Now, I'm going to touch on something else, and I believe it's called, for me, I've titled it as mindfulness and awareness. Now, I'm an advocate for mindfulness as a way to stay connected to the present moment, thus gaining clarity for myself. By observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment, without pointing any judgment to my thoughts or feelings, we can see that loneliness is not a permanent state, but actually something that just goes ebbs and flows is the expression. This awareness allows you and I to understand that while loneliness is part of our experience, it doesn't actually define our entire reality. For me, we create our reality. And that is a big step for us all to understand it doesn't define who we are. I'd like to explore now exploring the causes of leadership loneliness. And these are my points of views. I like to delve into what I feel is the causes of leadership loneliness through the lens of my understanding, and thus focusing on how our internal world contributes to this experience. What I've seen, what I've experienced as also being a leader, but I've seen others when I've been talking to them and actually just seeing how they interact, etc., is that we do have high expectations and self-perception. Now, from my experience, leaders often experience isolation due to high expectations they set for themselves. Now, there could be other circumstances, but this is what I'm seeing. This self-imposed pressure can lead to a misunderstanding of what I believe effective leadership truly entails. When we hold ourselves to unattainable standards, we end up feeling isolated. Recognizing these expectations for me are created by our own thinking that can help us to relieve some of that pressure and build more genuine connection with others. Have a think about that and see how that resonates with you in your working environment. Another area was I thought it was perceived separation. What I found here was that the feelings of separation are often products of our own minds. Now, leaders might feel isolated because of organization hierarchies or a lack of peer support. But these feelings are frequently reflecting our internal state rather than the actual situation. Just like you to think about that and just stop for a moment and just notice if you can see that. Because by recognizing this mental, I'm calling construction, we can then construct and bridge the gap and foster more authentic relationships with ourselves and with others in all aspects of our work, of our personal life. Moving on, I thought of an area called, for me, was the need for strong front. What does that mean? Well, that's actually meaning maintaining a facade of strength, which can also contribute to loneliness. From my experience, it's shown that letting go of the need to appear perfect has allowed me and leaders and others to connect more deeply with others. When we embrace our authentic selves, we show vulnerability. We create stronger, more supportive relationships, and we diminish the feelings of isolation. I actually had a conversation about that with someone in a room this morning, and I'd like to welcome Vincent into the room as well, who's joining me. Hello, Vincent. I'm just going to continue with my talk about this, so thank you for joining me. So the other part I'm going to talk about is acknowledging, addressing feelings. And that's about loneliness and its involvement, acknowledge our feelings through our understanding and taking proactive steps to shift our experience. So, do I mean by that? Well, I've highlighted a few areas as well. Self-inquiry and reflection is one I'd like to talk about. In my experience, delving into self-inquiry can be incredibly revealing when exploring feelings of loneliness. I want you to ask yourself what thoughts are contributing to your sense of isolation? How is your own thinking pattern shaping this experience? When you reflect on this, I hope that you realize that loneliness is more of a temporary state rather than a permanent fixture in our day-to-day lives. Another subject area that I wanted to touch is acceptance of imperfection. Embracing our imperfections can be crucial in managing feelings of loneliness. As leaders, acknowledging that it's perfectly okay to be imperfect, we can then ease some of that self-imposed pressure and thus forge more authentic connections with others, as I had the conversation with Vincent earlier this morning. This authenticness allows us to accept and helps us to understand that loneliness is a natural part of being human rather than a flaw. It's great that Vincent has connected on here because we're actually talking about cultivating awareness, and he's got a great app that he's creating there. This cultivating awareness, for me, I found that developing awareness of our own thoughts and feelings can make a significant difference. By observing these inner experiences without judgment, you and I can gain clearer insight and recognize that loneliness is not a constant. This awareness alone allows for better emotional management and helps maintain a more balanced perspective on our lives. Great that Vincent's joined, because the next session I wanted to talk about was seeking support and building connections. And this is what I've been doing these past few weeks. And Vincent was one of the people that I've been speaking to. To address leadership loneliness effectively, seeking support and building connections is crucial. Now, it can come in many areas. It can be through coaching. And that's from my experience, leadership coaching can offer invaluable new perspectives and strategies for tackling loneliness. Coaches provide a fresh viewpoint. They help leaders move beyond their immediate challenges. And I've seen that coaching is a collaborative journey that enhances self-awareness and fosters deep connections. We have the other side, we have the therapy side. These professional therapists also play a crucial role in addressing deep emotional issues and building resilience. What I've observed is that tackling underlying emotion concerns is key to reducing loneliness and creating a more connected leadership experience. We have peer support groups, and I know Vincent here, and I'll share his link as well about his app that's actually participating in creating peer support groups. His app is allowing you to go into rooms, specific rooms where you can go and talk to other people. This can be very instrumental for leaders to share their experiences and individuals to gain their insights from others in similar situations. These type of groups, such as Vincent's and others, they create a sense of community. And they kind of alleviate the feelings of isolation, aligning with my focus on the power of shared experiences and general connection. For me, it's all about creating that relationship. Another area that I've come across is creating a supportive culture. Cultivating a culture of openness and empathy within your organization is essential. And people such as Vincent and others that I've spoken to these past few weeks, they are wanting to create cultures that are allowing leaders and individuals and organizations to embed and to grow. Based on my experience, creating an environment where leaders feel safe to express vulnerability not only fosters connection, but also significantly reduces feelings of loneliness. To be said, no one as a leader is going to say, I feel lonely on LinkedIn. They're never going to say it publicly, but they will say it in confidence with people that they trust and know that they are feeling secure with that person. It's something that's out there, something that needs to be looked at and to be taken upon with kindness, with empathy, and understanding that we're talking to each other as a human being, face to face. I've come up with some little practical strategies and tools that that I think may be inspiring to manage and address leadership loneliness. The first one that I've kind of looked upon is staying present and managing stress. It's essential to remain present and acknowledge your current state without getting overwhelmed by stress. We've all been there, my hands up as well. We've all experienced that. But actually noticing and slowing down and noticing what's going on around you, maybe noticing your breathing, allows you just to notice where you are. By focusing on the here and now, you, as a leader, as a person, as a human being, can manage stress more effectively and avoid letting it amplify feelings of loneliness. The other area is building authentic relationships. This is what I've been doing. This is what other people are doing. And as leaders, it's to prioritize the development of genuine relationships with colleagues and peers. True connections offer meaningful support and help migrate feelings of isolation by fostering a sense of belonging and understanding. We may do it in our personal lives, so why don't we do it in our professional lives? Practicing self-compassion. Interesting topic to talk about. By embracing self-compassion and the acceptance as a foundational practice, we, as leaders, as individuals, we get to understand that loneliness is a natural part of our human experience. And recognizing that seeking support is a strength, not a weakness, can and will be significantly erasing the emotional burden of feeling lonely in the workplace, in the boardroom, along with other directors, along with the management team. If you can start to see that, even a glimpse of that, even a slight little window opening of that, it makes your world much different. I like to just share my conclusion of all this. I'm doing very small, short talks on this because I believe, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, it's enough for everyone. So my conclusion is leadership loneliness is a profound and often unspoken struggle that many of us face. And we don't have to navigate it alone. There's so many people out there who can support us. Yet by recognizing the root causes of this loneliness, embracing our true feelings, seeking support through people such as myself and others, we can start to transform our experience. Maybe increase productivity, maybe improve culture, maybe improve the whatever experience within the workplace. What I do hope from you listening to this recording is that these insights show us that loneliness isn't a permanent condition, but really a temporary feeling influenced by our thoughts and perceptions. And by changing our perspective, we can create a leadership environment that is not just more connected, but also generally supportive and empathetic. Now, I'm asking if Vincent wants to come online as we've got a few more minutes left, and then I can say thank you to everyone. Vincent, was there anything you wanted to contribute to what you've heard there? By all means, come online and share accordingly, if you can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have to say, you have an incredibly calming voice and demeanor. Uh, I feel better just listening to you. So yeah, it's interesting regarding I run my own business and yeah, it's very hard to as a leader, right? Your employees look to you for strength, not weakness, and it's important to put that out there, right? It's perhaps even inappropriate to admit loneliness openly. Depending on the situation and culture, right? It's not necessarily, I think, something that should be done from a leader's perspective, right? I think a leader should culture or cultivate a culture where people can openly discuss, but I don't feel a leader's place is necessarily to put out their own struggles and weaknesses. I mean, you should do it only in that it humanizes
Mm-hmm.
the experience for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I'm a new parent, you're a parent. You don't talk about money troubles with your children if you can't, right? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you want to project a sense of strength, security.
Mm-hmm.
That's a leader's role, but um, certainly the problem exists, and I think having other leaders be able to talk to each other, create, kind of communities and sort of groups to come up with solutions, but also just kind of to commiserate with somebody going through the same thing, I think is really important. But it's interesting. I put in the chat about less attrition. Apparently, quit rates are enormously high.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they've kind of come down since the great, whatever we called it, right? The great quitting, it's sort of post-COVID, right? Uh, lonely people are quite disengaged with their workplace. They feel disconnected, they have no qualms about quitting as a result. You
Yeah.
know, what if you don't feel connected to your workspace, why bother staying? And I think as a leader, it's expensive to retrain people. But it's also expensive to keep people that are not committed to, the company's mission, right? If you're lonely, if you're disconnected, if you're not all rowing in the same direction, the boat's not going to go very fast.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And if you're a small company, you have to move fast to get out of the way or get to the spot where the big boats have a harder time getting to, right?
Yeah. 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 But you hit it on the head there, I think, for was on the commitment side. Clearly, there has to be a commitment from both parties, but that commitment has to be an authentic commitment. It's not, yeah, I'll commit to staying or I'll commit to being here. No, it's really, are you really wanting to commit to being here and making a difference? You guys,
Yeah,
you guys are you got your small team, as we spoke earlier on today. You got a small team, but them guys, these people are committed to working with you.
yeah, it's not easy to, kind of get everyone on board for everything, but I think being present with each other is it's kind of everything. Most of us work remote, but
Mm,
being able to just sit in one room on video chat, it's it makes the day less lonely.
mm. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
quite honestly, right? It's just like being in the office, right? Like just because you're in an office with somebody doesn't mean you're like talking the entire time,
No.
right? Sometimes you're like got your headphones on and you're zoned in, but it's nice knowing that there's like someone not too far away that you can like look up and say hello to. So, we're obviously there's lots of different, virtual office programs out there, and all of these things are evolving, right?
Mhm.
It's the medium through which we're now working. And I'm trying to build an app that allows people to basically sit around a table and video chat.
Mhm.
No more than four people, because anything more than that, and it's a conference versus a conversation. But I think if we could just be present with each other, whether it's teammates, whether it's, other leaders trying to, connect and talk about their experience, we're not doing that enough. And that is causing the loneliest epidemic. It's causing, a greater disconnection amongst humanity, which is going to lead to more wars, right? More bad things if you don't see another person's humanity. It won't make a difference to you whether they live or die or going through a famine. And I think we certainly have the tools to make this a very tiny world
Yeah.
where we can all communicate and be, a few degrees of separation away from each other. Um, but we're not really using the technology right now. It's we're using it very superficial ways, which, you know, I mean, preaching to the choir here, but yeah, we're things are getting we there the tools are there to make things better, and I'm quite hopeful for the future. But we got to keep sort of being loud about needing to get people to just talk. I mean, it's like is ridiculously so like this right here, this is what should be happening
Yeah.
at every company
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like no one should be working in isolation.
No.
Just mute if turn your audio off if you can't, you don't need the noise, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But you should not be sitting there by yourself. Because when you were in an office, like that's how it worked. No one was really by themselves. I mean, a handful of people had closed door offices, but like most people were in the middle in the cubes, like just hanging out, getting stuff done.
Mm. Mm.
How do we
Beautiful.
recreate that, in the virtual world and just get on camera with another human being?
Beautiful. Thanks, Vincent, because that kind of concluded what I was going to say. Let's keep the dialogue going and break this silence around leadership loneliness. And by working together, we can build, as you say, a more compassionate, a more connected community of leaders. And if it's through the apps, it's through other forms of technology, as you say, as we've talked about, Vincent, it's opening up the doors for people to talk and to share and to be authentic with each other.
Yeah.
So thanks again to everyone who's listening, and thanks, Vincent, for being online with me. I really appreciate that. I know we had a great conversation earlier. All I can say is take care, everyone, stay connected, and remember you're not alone on this journey. Thank you all. Take care and see you again. Cheers. Bye bye.
Thank you.